Hello everyone, and welcome to the Costume Corpsman channel. I am the Costume Corpsman. On this episode, we're going to discuss zippers. Now, even though zippers do not take up a large part of failures when it comes to costumes and costuming, they do create a lot of issues. Zippers become undone, they pop, they become separated, the heads fall apart, tags fall off, teeth start to break, snags. So we're going to go over zippers and how to inspect them, how to look at them to make sure that you won't have problems, but also give you a couple of tricks to help you prevent problems from happening so you don't have issues when you wear your costume. So sit back, relax, enjoy the video, and we'll get this party started. All right, everybody, today we're going to start with this boot. Now, I got this at my Goodwill. As most costumers and cosplayers will know, Goodwill, Salvation Army, places like that are wonderful places to find pieces and parts for costuming and cosplaying. So, but what I did was the first thing that we're going to go over with when you use an item of clothing. Of course, this could be a dress, this could be a shirt or one of those full body suits. We're just going to use this as an example for my first instance, and that is making sure that the article of clothing that you wear fits properly, and some of the signs that it doesn't fit, and it may or may not give you problems. So I stuffed some fabric into this boot here, and I'm going to zip it up. And as I do, you notice that a couple of things are happening because I have this thing really stuffed with material, is that it's creating this bulge. And as you zip up, you've got this problem right here. This lip material, which is actually designed to keep pieces of other material underneath it from coming up and getting snagged, which is a wonderful feature, by the way. And we'll go over that in a little bit as well. But as it zips up, you notice it's starting to come up. Now, if this wasn't here and you were wearing, let's say, like a sock or some other article of clothing that may be baggy, your zipper would pull right up and you'd wind up having this little piece right here. And if this was a lesser fabric, a thinner fabric, maybe like this flannel material or maybe even cotton, your zipper would catch it and then snag on it. And when that happens, you'll wind up having a snag, and then your zipper gets stuck, and then you may or you may not damage the material, especially if this material is very, very thin, very wispy type of material like satin or silk. Getting caught in a zipper can be catastrophic. So the first thing is make sure that whatever you're wearing with your zipper fits properly. Now, I know that can be a sticking point for some people. Because we're not into any type of, telling people what they can and cannot do, especially with body types and whatnot. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when it comes to zippers, zippers are indiscriminate. They don't care. They don't care if you're short, tall, thin, small. They don't care. They will mess up just because. And so zippers are designed for the particular function that's to work. So when you get something or you purchase something that has a zipper, one of the cosmic rules of cosplay is test, test, test. Well, this is one of those things that you test. You want to make sure that the zipper, when you put it on, fits properly and can be zipped up. You see, it got caught right there at the end. Can be zipped and unzipped easily. So put it on and zip it and unzip it. Now, I'm forcing it at the very end because this piece of material comes up. Now, you're probably saying, well, what if I purchase it, I get my item, and it does have this piece of material in it, or it has something like this? Well, that's easy. So what you do is you can trim a little bit of this if you don't have this material problem going on or whatnot. So, but yeah, so you want to make sure that your zipper works properly. You're not putting a lot of stress, because when you put stress, here I am pushing up a little bit. If I was to have, let's say if it was a tight fit, and I'm doing this number and you're trying to zip it up, this creates tension in the teeth, and it gets very hard. Once again, you see this bulging happening right here. And if you're by yourself, let's say your zipper runs up the back of your boot, or let's say you have a zipper that runs up the back, the center of your back along your spine, and you're pulling this up, you don't see this. You don't see material coming out of it. You don't see what's happening here. So when you go to zip it up and you wind up having, once again, see, I just caught it in there just by pulling on it, this. So always make sure that whatever you're wearing with your zipper fits. And when you do put it on, test the zipper. All right, guys, in the next video, we're going to go over different types of zippers, different materials that they're made out of, and some of the signs to look for before you wind up using a zipper. Hello everybody, and welcome back. So here we have a plastic zipper. Now when I say plastic zipper, I mean at the very base core, the teeth, these are called the teeth, are plastic. And you can generally tell plastic pieces from metal pieces by the fact that generally plastic zippers have teeth much larger than metal zippers because you need more material for them to grip and hold better. Now this is the part right where some people get a little sideways because of my opinion on this, and once again this is my opinion, and that is that plastic zippers, especially with plastic teeth, are not as reliable as metal zippers. So if you're building your cosplay or your costume and you have the choice of picking metal or plastic, I would recommend metal and not plastic. Just because of the simple fact is that plastic has a tendency to last a bit longer. It does have a tendency to operate better. And not only that, but as you can see, I mean, these are, you know, the same, almost the same type of use and size of zipper. But, you know, you got size and use. So now the body of this zipper, this head part right here, is made out of metal, and it utilizes on this plastic. Now once again, completely opinion here, but I've done this a very long time. This can sometimes spell disaster when you have a metal head zipper with plastic teeth, especially if you run into an issue right where you have a little bit of resistance. You know, as you see here, it's naturally pulling apart and it gets stuck, which some do. I'm not going to lie. If anyone's ever used zippers, you know simple fact that it can get stuck, and you give a good yank, that metal can wind up destroying one of the teeth. And what happens with that teeth breaking, it can cause a separation, and we've seen that. That's right where after you pulled your zipper up, the teeth that have been aligned and brought together and combined wind up creating a bulge, and then they wind up splitting apart, and it creates a whole lot of hubbubaloo, and then you're stuck having to do this slow, methodical pull back down of a, you know, you do it. It's really weird, and it's incredibly not fun, especially when you're cosplaying in a con or an event type of setting. So when we get to this point, plastic teeth, just like I said earlier, and metal teeth, when you get things, you need to inspect them. Get it up close, personal. Even if you buy them new or you buy your costume used, it doesn't matter, or new to you, however it is, you want to inspect your zippers and make sure that all their teeth look the same, spaced properly, as you see here, free of any type of debris. And then you want to look really close as to how they're attached to the material. Now this right here is a pinch style, which is how most zippers are. Even the metal zippers, as you see here, They're basically just one long piece of metal that are pulled apart, and then they're stamped and pressed almost like a staple into the fabric. It's the same thing with plastic, but generally with plastic zippers, they're molded on there, that they use a high temperature molding system, and it's pressed on there. And depending upon the material, sometimes it's even melted onto the material, which is in some ways good and in some ways bad. We won't get into that here. So you want to inspect, you want to make sure that they're all the same, they all look the same. Once again, you want to pull, make sure that the zipper pulls up decently. And pull down. We'll take a look at the metal one here. The metal one here, this is all body, all metal teeth with a metal head and a metal top here. And once again, you just want to go down and you want to inspect, make sure all the teeth go the same way. You see how these have the teeth that go one particular type of direction this way? You want to make sure that's constant. I have seen time and time again zippers that have one lone backwards tooth, and that's right where the failure happens. So you just want to inspect it and make sure on the teeth, and that's really all that you need to do for that part. All right, we're going to get into the head. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. All right, zipper heads are pretty much, they come in two major type of categories. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an example of both right per se good enough that I want to show you, but you'll know it when you see it. And that is, the type is one solid head. In other words, the head is made out of one solid bit of material. And the other one is actually two separate pieces. Now that I'm looking at this a lot better, this might be, it's not the same version, but so this head is actually two separate pieces. And instead of the traditional way of doing it, right where the bottom piece is brought up through the middle, this one is actually sort of wrapped around. So this is actually good. So the reason why I want to talk about the zipper body is because when you inspect for your zippers on your costume, whether you're purchasing, like I said, your own zippers to install, or you purchase a costume that has zippers on it, when you're doing your inspection, you want to make sure that the zipper is what I call tight. And as you can see here, the head is very snug. There's no play, there's no moving around. When I jiggle it up and down, it doesn't move. It's just basically sits in its place. That's what you want. You want that zipper head to be there, because what happens is if that zipper head gets loose, let's say it gets bent or gets worn over time and starts to come apart, then when it goes to zip, it will not make that extremely tight fit on the zipper right there. It'll actually get loose, believe it or not. And that's another thing that causes those separations after the pull, and that creates all types of issues. It also, this type of fit is very good to keep snags from happening, material getting stuck in the teeth as you go up and down. So if it gets loose and it creates issues, so inspect the zipper head. Unfortunately, there's very few things that you can do to correct a loose zipper head. Not anything that I can recommend to you. I know a couple of ways of helping it, extending the life of it, but I don't want to share that because I don't want people to go, oh, well, the Costume Corpsman said if I do XYZ on a zipper head, that'll solve the problem. And you wind up utilizing that tactic and your zipper becomes worse. I don't want the half a dozen comments I already get on my videos to be even worse. So I'm not going to share that with you. The best piece of advice I can give you is to replace your zipper. Now there's a lot of videos out there, a lot of how-to videos showing how to replace and change zipper heads and how to find the correct zipper head and use it. And I would recommend you to do that. So if this zipper is loose, and it doesn't work. Now this one you know, as you can see here, is very large. It's also plastic. But this zipper head is also metal. And this is the other one I was telling you about, the one-piece zipper head. And so these one-piece zipper heads, when they get loose, now this one I can tell you because, you know, a little bit about how to adjust it. These get loose, really all that you need to do is just take a pair of needle nose pliers and just give it a little pinch, because this is right where it's all that pulling. It pulls and separates these two back pieces, this piece and that piece. It pulls it up and creates it to make it loose. And so if you just pinch down just a little bit, not a lot, mind you, don't go crazy with it, but just a little bit. And if that doesn't help it, then it just could be that over time the material inside the head has just worn down, and it makes it useless. And once again, you're going to have to replace it one way or the other. So, but that's it. All right, so in the next section, we're going to talk about how to prevent the 70% reason why zippers need the Costume Corpsman at cons and conventions. Hello everybody and welcome back. So like I said, the 70% of all reasons why an individual will need the Costume Corpsman with zippers is because of something I'm getting ready to show you right now. Now, this zipper I actually took off of a large, long duffel bag that I once again got at Goodwill to simulate a couple of things. Now, I'm not going to create a snag, but I'm going to show you some of the reasons why it happens. So, this zipper, let's say we're going to say that this zipper is up someone's spine, one of the long zippers that goes down the bodysuits, and as you see here, look at that, just pulled it up and down normally, and it caught this little piece of fabric here. Now, this piece of fabric is a spare piece of fabric that I had in one of my fabric bins. I cut it off, and I actually cut these little tapers here, as you see, to simulate some of the miscellaneous ends and pieces that a lot of people's costumes can get. So most people who wear zippered items have underclothing underneath them. Usually it's an undershirt, or maybe it's a different piece for part of their costume, and the zipper runs over it. And with this type of material, it's thin, it's flaky. As you move, it bunches up. You go to the bathroom, you know, you talk to a buddy or a friend, you know, and you go to pull it up, and once again, depending upon also, let's say the material is this way. Let's say you've got your shirt tucked down and it's got a piece of material in it, and you go to the bathroom and you go to zip up, and that piece of material is hanging out. And oh, that was very nice. Oh no, it did get caught. I just went too fast. So anyway, so this right here is some of the idea of why zippers can get all types of snags and caught and everything else. So how do you prevent that from happening? Well, there's a couple of ways. The first and foremost is make sure that whatever material that you're wearing underneath your costume or your cosplay goes beyond the zipper. So as I have shown here, make sure it goes down beyond where the zipper stops. So, you know, let's say like the zipper stops there, then if your material is all the way up here, this under material is all the way up here, then it doesn't have an opportunity to get snagged on the end pieces. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, make sure everything fits properly. Like I said earlier, you don't want this to be extremely loose. You don't want to wear a shirt or a piece of garment that's really loose on you as opposed to really tight, because then it bunches up. You've got all this extra material that's sitting around. So let's say like you do have it and it is loose. Well, what can you do? Well, it's simple. You can do a simple stitch, fold over a section underneath your arm or along the side of your of your body and sew that material tight so it doesn't have that much loose wavy bulk underneath that could create this. And you really want to do that anyway, even in your cosplay and costuming, because you really don't want to have, you know, bunches of under material, you know, gathering in on your underside anyway. That becomes uncomfortable and a little bit gross in my opinion. But anyway, so you really want to do that anyway. So let's say, for the sake of argument though, that you're still having those catches and everything else. How can you do it? Well, now this isn't something that I recommend completely and totally, but it is something I recommend if you're sort of in a patch or a bunch, and that is use a piece of duct tape. And this is just real cheap, real thin duct tape. It pulls off real easy on fabric. It doesn't need to be super great. You don't want it to be overly great unless you want to. Then you can get like the Gorilla Tape or something like that, and put that underneath right where your zipper is. And then that way, when you go to zip up that zipper, nothing, no undergarments or anything else will get stuck in it whatsoever. If you have one of those zippers that has that over material that overlaps on the back, which some people think is great because it keeps stuff from getting caught in the zipper, but in reality it really doesn't get things caught in the zipper. It's more of a psychological deterrent than it is anything else. Then you may want to trim that back a bit if it's creating you issues, and you'll figure that out during the test phase. But as you can see here, this material works. Now I put it over this piece, but more than likely this piece right here is right where you're going to just put it over anyway. But so if you're wearing like an undershirt or a bodysuit and you're wearing a zippered piece over it, just a little piece of duct tape that goes right along right where the zipper is could help you and save you a whole lot of aggravation and time on snags. So there you go. So it was my little video on zippers, what to look for, how to make sure that they're okay, and to prevent you from needing me at a con over your zippers. Now, of course, in this video, I didn't show you how to correct or fix separations. I didn't show you how to fix a zipper if it did break. Remember, I deal with emergency fixes at cons, and these sets of videos are more to set you up to help you prevent those type of things from happening. So, thank you. And that's about it for this section. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me for this episode on zippers. I hope you found it informative and instructive, and I hope you enjoyed it. Zippers, like I said, can be a little fickle depending upon the situation, but hopefully we covered enough points to help you prevent that type of, or any type of issues from happening. So I hope you enjoyed it. In my next video that's coming up, we're going to go over footwear, shoes, boots, even maybe a sandal or two, how to look for them, how to inspect them, and how to make sure that you get a good quality shoe. I know sometimes price can be an issue, funds and whatnot, but let me tell you something, spending a little bit extra on your footwear, especially to avoid certain type of ways that the shoe is built, can save you a lot of time, issue, grief, and heartache. I would probably say in the past 2 years, shoes have been the #1 failing that I've had. I recently went to a con just last year, and I had over 200 costumers come to me in a 3-day period, and half of the issues that they came to me were shoes and various issues. So we're going to go over that in my next video. I hope you tune in to watch it. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe, leave comments, let me know what I can do better, let me know if you find them informative, if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you next time. I'm the Costume Corpsman.